I've lived 1,000 lives. I've piloted 1,000 souls. I've killed and fought and died just for another role.
This is the Happy Jacks RPG podcast, a roundtable discussion that's a mix of friendship, humor, unbridled enthusiasm, and tabletop RPG topics sent in from around the world.
Just for another role.
Hello, and welcome to Season 36, Episode 7 of the Happy Jacks RPG podcast. My name is Kimmy.
Oh, I'm Rose, beaming in from outer space.
From outer space.
And I'm Pooja.
In today's episode, Steve in SoCal asks about reassessing safety tools during a campaign. Gregory in Wisconsin has tips for easy prep without the use of AI. And from the archive 2020, there's another one that I didn't type in my show notes. It's really good, though, so you should stick around for
From Uncommon
that.
Man in the year of
Yeah,
2020.
It's not that one anymore.
Not that one? Okay.
Ben-
Uncommon Man,
Ben-
you've been bumped.
Yeah,
You're on notice.
That was last week. Ben from Texas writes in about playing God or a god in your tabletop RPG as the GM. Specifically with like moves like the D&D move where a cleric can speak to their god specifically. So yeah, and that is from 2020. That was a seamless intro if I ever saw one. If you'd like to contribute a question or topic to the show that I can completely screw up in the intro, you can do so by sending it to happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. That's happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. Or you can send it in on the mailbag channel of our Discord. And you can find that at happyjacks.org/Discord. And yes, announcements. Our next game days is October 25th. Join the Discord, which I just talked about, to run or play games. It's free, inclusive, accepting, and safety tools are required for all games. Again, that's happyjacks.org/Discord. So far, there's a bunch of games listed. There's an Outgun game, the Alien RPG, Brindlewood Bay, Siren by McGay Baker, Roll for Shoes, Pokemon game, which has been clarified. Steffi clarified that they're running it. They're like two separate games. They're not linked. You do not have to be in both, which is my like fanfic that I made up last time, magically somehow reading about the game. So I'm sorry. They're two separate games.
It's just the thing we all want to see. We want more Steffi games.
We do.
Yes,
We do.
always.
Yeah. So in the Steffi universe. And then there's a Morkboard game, and there's probably going to be more posted. People have been chatting about some other stuff. So
Super
go
excited
check it
about
out.
An Outgunned game because
No.
like watched the Outgunned that Happy Jacks did, and I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, super good. Yeah, absolutely. Could you talk for a second, Pooja? Could you say hello?
Hi, I am Pooja. I don't use pronouns. I'm excited to see some of the. I always love coming on the show, and I'm like, ooh, it's like a continuation of a topic that I've talked on the show about before.
Yeah. Maybe just sit
Like-
up a little more. I don't know.
Like, hold
Try
on a
this.
second. I'm just
That's
gonna
better.
move this thing around.
There, try that. Nah, I think it should be all right. Okay. All right.
Just stand up the entire time. I'm
Stand
already
up. We're
holding a
just having-
microphone. We're just
Yeah,
getting a
we're
workout.
This should be it.
Okay, that's better. Yeah.
I think it was just real far back.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, it's gonna be super great. As always, we have our game days every other month. So there's one in October right now. That means the next one will probably be in December. And if you join the Discord, you can also vote on like which Saturday it is. It kind of bleeds it into the Friday and the Sunday because of time zones and stuff like that. But there. All right. Our Indie Designer of the Month. This month's Indie Designer of the Month is close to our hearts. It is Cody Gonzaga, he, a mixed race, queer, and disabled designer from here in Los Angeles. And you can see them on our Road to Nowhere AP on Tuesday nights. It's amazing.
Oh yeah.
You can find their work at Jastice, JAZTICE.itch.io, or you can find them specifically as Jastice, spelled that same way, on Blue Sky. Today's game we're talking about is In This Echoing World. In This Echoing World is a storytelling and role-playing game about an unconventional fantasy world and the various and vibrant characters within it. These print-and-play cards and your imaginations, each will allow each player to spin a separate story of a hero or villain living in a fantasy world. The mechanics of this game are mostly taken from Archipelago 3E by Mathis Halter. I think I said that right. With an additional inspiration from Desperation by Jason Morningstar, The Fall of Magic by Ross Cowman, and Going for Broke by Avery Adler. Intended to be played over a single 2 to 4 hour session with 160 cards, In This Echoing World is rife with endless settings, stories, and possibilities. And it is name your own price at justice.itch.io. And there's even, if you wanted to get cards printed for it, there's, when you download it, there's like print your own, like with your regular printer, but you can also send it to the card printing company.
Ooh.
So if you wanted to actually get real cards like printed there, and I've done that before, and it's pretty affordable. So if you want to get fancy with it, both those options are there on the itch.io page.
I love a game that comes with artifacts.
Yes, absolutely. And like, I just it's sometimes so hard to lay out things correctly to get them printed. It's so nice when it comes already done.
Mm-hmm.
So nice. All right, mailbag number 1.
I'll go ahead and take it. My apologies if my audio volume
good.
changes here and there. My microphone arm is just my arm. So, mailbag number 1. Oh, wise users of safety tools. As an old school gamer who hasn't had occasion to start a new game with a new group in a long time, I seek your opinion on something. When using tools like lines and veils, session 0 conversations about tone/theme, or your favorite alternative, do you ever stop and reassess them either during a campaign or between campaigns with the same group of people? For example, during the discussion on failing rules in session 35, episode 3, I'm about 4 months behind on the podcast, there was some discussion of things like no killing and masks. The thought that was running through my head was that at times, given an appropriate level of trust between players and GM, it can be particularly impactful to seemingly break theme in order to have more impact. There was a Buffy reference thrown out, and it was the kind of thing that jumped to mind. While perhaps against the general premise of the game, a single well-crafted death or other serious event can potentially create a really potent moment or arc that might otherwise be muted by restrictions. Similarly, I've played it in or run campaigns that have lasted years, during which time sometimes what we collectively want out of the game might morph as our characters and the story evolves. I'm fully expecting the adult conversations TM note. Hey, you have me on the podcast to talk about that, which is completely appropriate. I'm also willing to be told, dude, it's not your place to question anyone's trauma or preferences. With love and respect, Steve in SoCal.
So I think it's important to kind of start this one with a distinction between two separate things. For masks, the no killing thing is part of that game, which I think gives you a lot more wiggle room than if someone puts it on like a lines and veils sheet. Like,
Absolutely.
there's an opportunity for like, okay, there, and I've played in masks games that had a big dramatic moment where a PC ended up killing someone, and it like reverberated, like it was a massive thing that happened, and the person playing that character made that choice knowing that would happen, with like kind of the okay of people around. I've also been in a game that they did it anyway, with all of us being like, no, you shouldn't do that, and they did it anyway.
Yeah.
That was a fun day, right, Pooja?
No, it was not.
It was not a fun day.
It's
But
the opposite of a fun day.
so bad. Not on session. This is a home game that we were in. It was, I think, pre most of you being on Happy Jacks, or like, I don't know. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was many, many years ago. But if something's written on a lines and veils document, it should be taken as like for sure, not wiggle room. I don't know. I think if
Immutable.
you wanted to, immutable. I would even hesitate in most situations, unless it's like privately asking for clarifying information. I would hesitate even like asking, hey, I really have this cool idea. Is it okay if we like mess with your lines and veils that you write? Like, even that feels like icky to me.
Yeah, those are the
I'm
kinds
gonna
of
push
things
back
where
on
I
that a
would
little
say,
Okay.
"Mm,
So lines and veils, depending on how you do it, If you do it anonymously, if people just put their thing, yes, leave that alone. Don't futz with it. But in the pursuit of respecting and playing within people's boundaries, getting a better understanding of them is really important. If you're going to be playing for a really long time, if you know the people really well, like this is not anything I would do at a con game or with strangers or anything like that. But I my play groups play together a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, the more you understand the nuance, the better you can play within the established boundaries. Like I had a player who blood was a line, so we had to kind of understand like, okay, how much can I talk about violence and still respect that line? Or at least it was a veil. Like blood can happen, but he would literally get woozy if I talked about it in detail, and so I had to know, well, how much detail is detail? Like it is really important because it was a Monster of the Week game, and that's a very violent game that I know precisely where those boundaries are so that we can play this game kind of how it was meant to be played, certainly how I had planned it. And so it's like I need to really understand how you work and what's important here if this is gonna work at all, kind of thing. And so I'll say it's important to know if you already have a solid grasp of where people's boundaries are, you don't push them. But if you don't know where they are, gaining understanding is good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Because
definitely
like,
agree with that side of it. Like knowing what the actual boundaries are for your players, especially at a home game, especially for something that's been going to be or has been going on for months.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess where it kind of feels like this letter is coming from is more like, don't do things that I would not, let me put it this way. I
Mhm.
would not suggest things specifically that are people's lines and veils to
mhm,
be like, well,
absolutely.
is this really a line or a veil for you? And I feel like that's a very different suggestion than a conversation on tone or theme. Like
Mm,
it is one thing to say 6 months into a game, it's like, okay, tonally it feels like we've actually started to move in a different direction. Can we get buy-in from everybody to either go back to what we originally talked about in session 0 or to move away from that and lean more into where we've started to go? And that all makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
It also makes a
mm,
lot of sense to me over time to have your players check your lines and veils documents, because people's lines and veils change
Yeah.
organically
oh yeah.
over time. They're not a static thing. So if you did a session 0 or you had a document from when you started a campaign and then you're playing and 8 months later you're starting, especially if you're starting a new campaign, try and have them look at that and have them update, or at least to like look over the lines and veils document again and see if anything has changed for them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's
Yeah.
an amazing standard practice. And if you have a game that, like, home games can often go on for a year, 2 years, 3 years, like set a time where you're just like, hey, it's been several months since we looked at this. Can everybody just look at this document again and make sure that we're all still on the same page?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's really, really important.
I think there's also like and maybe I approach things a little bit differently than other people do. I'm very comfortable talking about why things are lines and veils for me. Different people are going to have different levels of comfort. I also primarily play games with people I trust a lot. Um, if I'm playing with a stranger, I'm going to keep the games very light, but my preference is to play games with heavier tones. And so I play those with people that I have established trust with. Um, and like for example, to me a good example of discussing the nuance of a line and veil was when I was running masks during COVID. This was kind of the long story of how I ended up on Happy Jacks. But one of my players wanted to take a move that would give them like a pet sidekick.
Mm.
And I was like, they're like, I want like a rat. And I went, no. And they're like, I don't understand. And I said, look, this is a game about superheroes and supervillains. A rat is going to not survive the first thing that happens to it in a world of superheroes. If it's a mutant, an alien, or a cyborg, perfect. But if it's just a rat, I cannot endanger that, which is a mechanic in the game. If it is injured, the player controlling it takes a powerful blow. I can't do that without seriously injuring a real animal, and I can't do that as a GM. So, like the nuance of yes, if this is not just a regular animal, you can do this thing, but if it is just a regular animal, absolutely not. Um, so that kind of building that nuance and that understanding of each other, I think is really important. And I don't think is a bad thing. Um, I think kind of how it was pitched in this. Um, I think you can be like, hey, I was thinking about in our Masks game dealing with the death of a character. How do we feel about that?
Yeah.
Is that something we want to explore? And is that something that is banned because it's a assumption of the game? Or is that something that's banned because it is a line? If it's a line, don't fucking touch it. Like don't even look at it. But if it's something that's banned because it's a tone of the game, like I'm a strong believer in above the board conversations, like the email says, the adult conversation TM. But like you can always just be like, hey, this was a thought I had about a direction to take the story in. Is that something that people feel up to? Um, in my mask games, I've steered away from things like government oppression, because it's too heavy, it's too painful to kind of do in my fun make believe. And so like that's something we steer away from. And so if someone had pitched like, "Oh, I want to play a masks game about like being mutants on the run from, an anti-mutant government," I'd be like, "No."
Yeah.
Um, but it's okay to have conversations like that and to pitch things and to kind of understand each other so long as people are comfortable with those communications. Not everybody will be. So if you're at a table where people, instead of being able to talk freely about where their boundaries are, kind of start to lock up, step back, give them space. Don't push the subject. But if you're playing in these long running games, if you're having stories that change and evolve, and if you're having players that are changing and, over like where I am today is very different than where I was a year ago.
Mhm.
Which was very different from a year before that, which was very different from a year before that. And the things I have capacity for in my games change. So I think absolutely talk with your people, talk with your players, but know when to drop it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's a really good point that you bring up that like people have a different level of comfortability talking about these things in general. So approaching it to the group, but then leaving very clear avenues open for people to talk to you about these kinds of things one on one is a really great way to like bypass a lot of that discomfort that people can feel about opening up about these types of issues
Yes.
in a group setting, even when you're all friends, or maybe especially when you're all friends.
Mhm.
It can be really hard to deal with things that make you uncomfortable for a whole host of reasons. And it's not always just because somebody's a stranger. Sometimes you just don't want to have people that you love and see all the time know very specific things about your life.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No. I think too, knowing whether it's important enough to approach, like obviously understanding lines and veils is really important. Separate from that, going back to the point of maybe wanting to like include or weave elements in there, like, so for example, I'm using a line and veil of Dave's that he has talked about on the show and multiple APs. So this is something that is open knowledge. But Dave has a thing with eyeballs,
Mm-hmm.
and he doesn't like having eyeballs hurt in any way or anything with eyeballs in games, which I totally understand. That is
Based
not,
Dave. Dave
yeah,
and I are on the same team. Leave the eyeball
100%.
alone.
Yeah, yeah, understandable. Like that's not a line to mess with. Like, have something else happen in a scene. Like it's so easy to create a monster that does not involve an eyeball. Like, create other things. That's a very easy line and veil to sidestep. So, like, whatever the situation, like, that's not one. Why? Why would you even bring that up to have the uncomfortable conversation about, well, I just really think a Cyclops has to be in here, and it's the only thing, and there's only the one way to destroy it. It's like, no, no, just let it go. But if you like Rose, you were using the example of like death of a character or things like that, and I feel like those sometimes can be something where you can absolutely maybe find nuance. I do have, like, there are some that you don't want to touch, and I'm not going to say names, but I have some good friends who, line and veil for like things like self harm or things like that are more serious and can hit home very seriously. Like, I would also never approach them and ask, hey, can I include this in this storyline? I think it would be a great dramatic moment for our play game at the table. It's like, no, like the balance of that is off the other way. As easy as it is to sidestep eyeball stuff for Dave, like, because, it's just easy. Like, the game is so inconsequential compared to the trauma and the feelings on something like that on the other end, that like it shouldn't be approached. Like that would be such an asshole move to even be like, I have a great GMing moment we could have at the table at the expense of like this very painful thing. So I think there's also like a lot of caution even approaching that. If you don't, it's like I would feel terrible if there was some reason that was as heavy as the one my friends I'm thinking of are. Like I get teared up about it, like just thinking about it with them and how much they've gone through. And it's just really, really important that we keep in mind that it's just a game. And even if you have this great moment that you think would pan out really well, or these great like story beats, or this great plot twist that would tie in so perfectly with everything else, like it is not worth it. No matter how great it might end up being, like it is not worth the discomfort of the people at your table that you care about. Sorry, I went on a little bit of a rant there.
No, that's.
No,
I think
you're
it's
good.
great. Like, and I think a lot of us have been in those situations. I've been in that situation where the GM brought in something that was incredibly personal, and like destroyed one of the other people at the table.
Yeah.
Like, like they tried to stick it out for some time,
Mm-hmm.
but left the session, We didn't play for a while after that.
Yeah.
Came back, retconned a bunch of stuff to take all of that back out, but also it's a loss of trust, right? Like, it's, in a way, it's easy to say, like, okay, we'll just retcon that and da-da-da-da-da, and the game goes on. But you have then lost the trust of a person in your life who is your friend or your loved one or whatever. And, like, and I think we're all in a situation where we can stand to be more aware of those kinds of things moving forward. And that's not always the case, right? Sometimes it's like, oh, we started off this game and it was going to be, or with this campaign, and it was going to be like a super serious, and we were going to be really intense about it, and everything was going to be like, you know, like on point the whole time, and you end up with like, you know, whatever your version of Astral Circus is.
Yeah.
And and that's okay too.
Yeah.
As long as you have buy-in from the table. And then it's a good time to have a check-in and be like, hey, I know we said like we were going to be really serious about it, but it really feels like nobody really is. It feels like this is a better way for us to go because everybody's leaning more into the absurd and leaning more into the lighthearted. And there's no judgment call there, right?
Right.
So long as you just, like, so long as y'all are all okay with that and it's not just a situation in which people are undermining the tone in order to relieve their own reflexive discomfort with serious things.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about lines and veils at that point. I am talking about the tendency that people have in serious moments to crack a joke.
Yeah.
But either way, it's a good time to have a discussion and be like, hey, do we want to move into this other tone?
Mm-hmm.
If yes, great. If no, we need to just rein it in a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I always feel like you need a new lines and veils before campaigns and between campaigns.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, even if it's the exact same group of people.
Yeah.
Like, even if they're not changing anything and it's just like, yes, all of my answers are the same, I feel like the start of a campaign is the perfect time to do a new lines and veils. And it's so natural at that point.
Yeah. And especially if you're changing games or systems, like there can be new stuff included.
Absolutely.
It's like that is intrinsic to that system specifically that might make them uncomfortable. Yeah, and I mean, I've been the person at the table, and it was kind of my fault. I was at a con playing with a table of people I knew. Like everyone there was a good friend, and it was my fault. I'd had like a traumatic event happen at work, and I've talked about it on the podcast previously. But there was a student who'd been injured in a car accident out front, and her parent was also there, and I was one of the first responders, and they ended up both going to the hospital. The parent ended up passing, and then I was the one who sat with the child all day, and it was just one of those things that like I hadn't processed it, and then I went to the con like a few days later, and I was feeling okay because I hadn't processed it. It was like, and I had like signed up for a Grim game, and I get this is like the worst, dumbest mistake to make, but like in my like compartmentalization of it, like I wasn't thinking about it. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go sit down with this game with Bill and blah 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 and all these people, and Bill wasn't the GM, but he was at the table, and I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna get out of like the worst week I've ever had in my life. And then it was like 5 minutes in, and I suddenly was starting to feel a little uncomfortable. And then at one point, the GM, who's doing an amazing job, like does this little voice that was like, "Mama, Mama,
Oh,
Mama."
I think I'm gonna have to X card out of that actually.
Like,
Oof.
yeah, like I literally sat there and I blinked for a second, and I just like, I don't know, I had like a very like intense, probably somewhat PTSD informed reaction, and I like just
quite
like,
literally, yeah.
I have to go, and I just like got up from the table, walked away, found like an empty hallway, and just like sat up, like crumpled to the ground and started sobbing, like just sobbing. And like people walking by at the con were just like, oh my god. Like, and like eventually like I cried it out, and I was like, all right, and I like went back and was like, I'm so sorry, I cannot join this game again. I appreciate it. And they were just like, it's fine. It's cool. No, yeah, go. Do you need something? Can we they were amazing. They were great about it. But like to this day, I have a very visceral reaction when anyone asks if I want to play Grim. Like I have
Oh God, yeah.
a moment again, and I'm just like, and it has nothing to do like with any of that stuff. Like I just like nope out of it like immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So we also have to remember that like these moments can be incredibly emotional, but also leave like lasting echoes that impact how someone interacts with the hobby and like with their friends. Like to be completely honest, like I haven't signed up, even though I know this person who GMs, they do a great job. Like I've never signed up for another one of their games. And I've never said why, and I don't know if it's really why, but there's just like a big emotional connection there that is not their fault in any way. Because I didn't, they asked about safety, and I didn't say any of that stuff because I wasn't ready to think about it, and I definitely didn't know how to like
Articulate it.
yeah, and tell my friends, hey, this awful thing happened to me at work this week. Like that's just not something you like wrap into conversations. I probably should have trigger warning before I talked about that situation. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we might want to think about a couple of those at
Yeah.
the opening of the show today.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, so just even with safety tools, sometimes things can be fraught as it were. So like it's just important to realize that these games get incredibly emotional, that people get very bought in, that they bring in a lot of things from our personal lives. And prioritizing people's safety and their well-being and their ongoing like health is always has to be more important than the story beats in a game. I don't know. That definitely shouldn't. I don't know about that.
No,
I know I've talked about that, but it's been like a minute, like a long time.
Kimmy, I love you so much, and you motherfucker, you went back and apologized for someone else triggering you. I love you so much, Kimmy. You did not need to do that.
No, I know,
You-
but
you-
bringing it up on the podcast is something that's like a very emotional thing.
course.
So I'm more concerned
course.
about like that having an emotional reaction on people who are listening. But I do think
Yeah.
I think it's important that people who are listening to us talk about the tools we use realize we've been on the other side too.
And it is a thing that like it's so easy to listen to people. Like we play a lot of games, we play a lot of stream games, we play a lot with each other. We are on this podcast, or you're on this podcast every week, and we can seem so infallible, but or stratified in our thinking sometimes, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But we are people, we're humans, we're learning, we're growing. And also there's a whole life that every single one of us has outside of these situations that we're bringing to the table and bringing to our experiences with the hobby. And those situations can change on a dime.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's true of our situations in which we're like playing limited run campaigns with different groups of people at a time, and that's also true of your home games where we're playing with the same people for, you know, I don't know if other people have 4 to 5 year campaigns, but like, or if this is just like my experience with home games.
I think they do. Some people do. I think that is a lot of people's like aspiration when they do role playing games. But yeah, I think realize like that's a good thing I hadn't thought of with that story. Like if I'd played that Grim game like 7 days before, like if the con had been the weekend before,
Mm-hmm.
I would have been fine. I would have
Yeah.
been like, I would have played that game and nothing, it would have been great. I would have then had beers with everybody. It would have been amazing. But literally that one day of work has changed everything. And there's just so many things sometimes. And it took me a long time before I told anybody about it. Like even after that happened at the con. So even if you're really close with people, like assuming that you know everything that's been happening in their lives or things that might upset them because you know them really well, like it's a good example of why safety tools are really, really important because things can change so fast for a person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think like it's so good that you sorry. So Steve, it's really good that you're thinking about this,
Yes.
right? Like
Mhm.
it is absolutely a great thing to stop and reassess your lines and veils and session 0 conversations about tone and theme or whatever you're using to talk about like how you want your campaigns to go whenever it seems necessary. And then also, especially with lines and veils, when it seems necessary, but also like it's like I don't know, it's like those expiration things where it's like, oh, whenever something big happens or before an X amount of time has passed, whichever comes soonest.
Mhm.
That is not an expiration date thing, but like, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Can't think of the actual example right now, but like,
Are you thinking of a
it's-
Best Buy date?
Or maintenance. Like,
maintenance. I think I'm thinking about
Ah.
Okay.
maintenance.
Like your oil change, like
yeah.
when the light comes on, or when it hit, like whichever comes
like,
first.
like if you hit your 3,000 miles
Yeah.
or 6 months, whichever is soonest,
Yes.
like you need to go in and get your fucking car looked at.
Yeah.
I
Game maintenance. love
definitely
that.
need to do that to my own car, but whatever. We're not talking about that right now.
Safety tools are more important than oil changes. It's fine. It's not. I mean, they're both really important. They both.
They're equally important.
Sorry, Rose. Go ahead.
I just wanted to share, like, changing the tone of the game is a free action. Like, so long as everybody's down for it, you can pivot anytime.
Yeah.
You know, and like, I could not tell you how many session zero conversations and established tones have not survived contact with the actual game. Because what we like, it's like going out to eat, and it's like, what do I want to eat today? And you could ask yourself before you leave for the restaurant, I'm thinking this. Then you get to the restaurant and you're like, actually, no, I want this. And, you know, it's like, I want a steak. No, I want a burger. No, I want pasta. And like each time depending on where you are in the process of actually getting up to eating that thing, and even in the middle of eating it, you go, shit, I shouldn't have gotten a burger. This was a terrible choice. I wanted a salad. This burger is way too heavy. Or you're like eating a salad and you're like, dear God, I needed that burger. Like,
I was
I'm
about
usually
to
the
say.
same.
yeah,
But
yeah. Oh, absolutely. But like, what appetite you have for a game can shift literally at any time. You can say, yes, we are going to have burgers every Thursday for the next 6 months. And then by the second week, you're like, I want anything other than a burger. Um, you know, it, my masks games have shifted in tone back and forth, heavy to light to in between. You know, I've sat down to play Nights at the Demon Club and been like, yeah, it's gonna be this like cool angsty thing, and it immediately turns slapstick. Like, yeah, I think I literally like 5 minutes in to playing Nights at the Demon Club, like my character ran off and smooched somebody, like very like not even like, oh, it's like there's a sexy kiss. No, it was just like, oh hi, smooch.
yeah.
It was just
And it's
um
so funny too
no,
because
no
like,
tone survives contact with the players.
Yes.
yeah, exactly. And I guess I think of this as like more like it's one thing like if your whole table kind of buys in and you feel it, right? Like generally when it's a table buying in because you've all decided that burgers are not on the menu today and you all need salads instead. But like if somebody really still wants that burger, or 3 out of 4 people are like burgers and the last person is like funnel cake, then
Ooh.
that's a disconnect that you probably want to address sooner rather than later, because otherwise people are going to start getting upset, or at least if not upset, annoyed. And I find that the annoyance factor is actually worse.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like
Yeah.
absolutely.
But yeah, so like you can change the tone at any time, but also make sure that you have your table's buy-in on changing it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Quick break for the podcast. We're going to go get funnel cakes. We'll
Yes.
get back in 3 to 6
Bye.
hours,
Oh my
depending
gosh.
on where the nearest funnel cake stand is.
I was at Universal with my daughter the other day because we live really close to Universal Studios, so we go up there a lot.
Do they
had-
have funnel cake?
Yeah, oh yeah, but they had like it was like over the summer it was like movie madness or movie I forget what they had a fancy name for it, and a bunch of Jaws themed stuff was there because it was like the anniversary of
Yes.
Jaws. So one of the things they had was a funnel cake that had like it was like blueberry sauce, and then also like that looked like waves and like the whipped cream, and then little gummy like fish, and then a big like I think it was made of sugar, like fins sticking out of the top of it.
Amazing.
It was amazing. It was so good. It was so good. And my daughter was very upset by how much she was not allowed to eat of it because I'm a good mom and health things for my daughter.
Health and future you protection.
Yeah, so I had to eat most of it to help her to keep her healthy.
That's
Just
totally
kidding.
how that works.
We actually did.
Can
fine.
you just fly me down? I will take all funnel cake shaped bullets from here on out.
That's like the one big. Well, no, having kids is great, but eating a large amount of their snacks for their own good is one of the small number of benefits.
Amazing.
I'm so bad about it too. My daughter literally, like, when she sees me getting close while she's eating, she gives me like the stink eye. Like, you need to ask Mama. Okay. Yeah, you're right. I need to ask. Thank you.
Oh, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, Mom.
Yeah. You need
I
to
love
ask.
Incredible.
Mama. All right.
Okay.
All right. Mailbag number 2.
Okay, I'm taking this one.
Okay.
Dear Happy Jackers, Happy Jillers, and Happy Mixtures. This is Gregory from Wisconsin. Although I hope to move further north soon, much further north, I recently started listening to your podcast, and I even participated as a player in JackerCon last summer. Hey! This is my first time submitting a question. Well, thank you very much for writing in. I enjoyed the discussion of artificial intelligence in Season 36, Episode 3. The arguments made against AI were solid. Thank you. I thought I'd suggest some alternatives to using AI for the GMs that are in a hurry and unprepared for game night, feeling dried up and uncreative, or chronically short on time. It's just a husk of your former GM self.
Yes. I can relate to it though. Like,
Yeah.
like no lie. Like, I recognize some of that huskiness. Okay.
After all, even the most creative person has days when they're not feeling creative at all. Very true. The books Eureka, 501 Adventure Plots to Inspire Game Masters, and also Masks, 1,000 Memorable NPCs for Any Role-Playing Game, are published by gnomestew.com. That's gnome with a G. And were written before the advent of large language models, LLMs, in 2010 and 2011. In fact, they were written by a moderately large group of collaborating authors who presumably critiqued each other, resulting in something highly polished and multiple flavors of gaming are represented. In Eureka, 501 Adventure Plots to Inspire Game Masters, after some useful introductory guidelines, each of the 501 plots is about half a page of densely packed text, around 5 proper paragraphs. The plots are suitable for many subgenres, from fantasy, science fiction, and horror. They seem neither too detailed nor too skeletal. They're just right. With that kind of starting point, most GMs can probably either flesh out the plot more or just improv using the provided plot as a starting point. Several different indexes can help a GM find what they need. The authors point out that it would take 10 years of real time to play all the plots if you play 50 weeks per year.
Whoa.
Sounds like a challenge.
Yeah. Good luck. Okay. I'll cheer you on from the sideline.
As if I would not.
I mean,
want to
that's
be
only
straight.
2/3 of a
Yes.
Happy Jacks RPG podcast.
True.
The other book is even more straightforward. A collection of 1,000 NPCs. There are villains, allies, and neutrals. They're organized into fantasy, science fiction, and modern. Each NPC has an entry for appearance, role-playing, personality, motivation, background, and a few traits or tags. Again, there are several different indices. We love an index.
Yay, we love an index.
Perhaps you might seek out one of the authors and invite them on your show. Or perhaps you have already interviewed one in a previous season. I'm moving backward through the advice show and have just started season 33, so I don't know.
You got a long way to go, my friends. A long way. We have talked to people, like, I know I've talked to people from Gnome Stew. Like, I know them, but I don't remember, like, yeah, my memory. I'm old. I don't know. I've talked to them. I don't remember who was on the podcast or not.
I guess Gregory from Wisconsin's going to find out.
We're gonna, yeah, tell us. If you hit an episode where we interview them, let me know. I could probably also do a search on the website, but I might be too lazy for that right now.
Related to the
Gregory
above,
from Wisconsin, RPG podcast paleontologist.
Yeah. Accurate.
Related to the above, if you read the news, emphasis on read, you occasionally come across articles that could be an adventure plot for a one-shot. I often find such stories in the science section of the New York Times, published each Tuesday under archaeology. From time to time, something really cool is dug up. I was recently delighted by a story, Watch, Polar Bears Occupy Abandoned Soviet-Era Research Station, published on the BBC's website on September 27th, 2025. An abandoned Soviet research station on a remote island off Siberia's northern shore was taken over by polar bears. A photojournalist sent in a drone to film them, and the polar bears are adorable. This is a perfect plot for a post-apocalyptic game exploring the ruins of a research station being taken over by bears. We do choose the bears. You could even add in the plot twist that the characters are forbidden from harming the bears.
Yes.
Yes, always.
Important.
Alternatively, in some British Arthurian legend, the same plot could apply, with druids forbidding the killing of any of the bears. The question there is, it's not a research station at some point. It would be like a sacred grove.
Ooh, yeah.
Or a abandoned castle. My question is to ask what other non-AI sources of material you recommend when the GM is too pressed for time or too burned out to prepare for gaming. Skål! In friendship, Gregory, still in Wisconsin for now.
I'm going to go off for a moment because I ran into one of these stories, like what they were talking about today, actually, on the Reddit that I spent too much. It's from a while ago, like that thing that actually happened, but I found it on Reddit today. Basically, there's these big, like, they look like bones, so they kind of call them, that's kind of like what they call them, that are in the Milky Way galaxy. And if you like look at pictures from astronomers, they have these big straight things that they call them bones because they look like bones. And one of them was struck by a fast moving like spinning neutron star, and it basically like put a crack in what this thing looked like a bone. So like that's had me like spinning off and like sci-fi stories and like possible things, like maybe it is a bone, maybe it's this giant ancient like extra planetary, like or maybe it's not, like maybe this pulsar is something else. But go Google it. It's from like May, and it's very cool looking, the pictures they have, and it really does look like a bone, and then there's like a pulsar right there. It's very cool.
Oh, that's fun. That immediately makes me think of like a Cthulhu based.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
My mind just goes straight to horror. I'm not sorry.
My brain went to Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm like, a fast-moving star hit something and broke it? Excuse
yeah,
me?
absolutely.
Oh, yes, Wizard Tower would be
Yes.
the research station in Arthurian legend as well. That would work.
Yeah, that would be very cool. But yeah, some other things for burned out GMs. I'm going to plug my thing, sorry. Decima is really good for that, because I wrote it as a kind of burned out GM who wanted help creating plot lines and stuff like that. So if you wanted to try, there's a lot of like story games that are card based, a lot of them, things like that you can kind of weave into games like that. You can also do that with A Quiet Year. and like even sometimes parts of like For the Queen and things like that, Microscope. Like bringing in these world building games, not necessarily to replace your game, but as something to use, like what we call love letters in PBTA, where it's like a little refresher, or if someone's been gone, or you go to a new place, so you hand out a card and people create the location for you and create connections and stuff like that to it. That can really lighten the load for a GM and increase the investment of players.
Mm-hmm.
If you like farming out ideas to your players, there's a game called Arium Create. It's ARIUM. And that's really, really fun. It lets you go from like galaxy spanning and like the multiverse level to the names of particular NPCs and magical items in about an hour.
Nice.
Whoa, cool.
Yeah, I run it for my GM workshop as like a collaborative world building thing. Also, Kimmy, I know the rejected tagline for Decuma was by burned out GMs for burned out GMs.
I mean, maybe a little bit. Like it should have been. R&D for your RPG had a better ring to it, and the guy at my gym came up with that, so I was like, okay, I'll go with that.
His check is in the mail, right?
Yeah.
He will never. He has no idea. Like I was spotting him while we were benching, and I was kind of trying to explain to this like very, very traditional, probably very conservative bro dude at the gym that was my lifting partner for that class that day. What I was doing, he's like, oh, so it's like your R&D for your like RPG game, and I was like, holy shit. I mean, yes.
I should just hang out in gyms.
You can get one more.
Just hang out in gyms and farm ideas.
I should really like. I mean, I was not expecting like this like gaming brilliance from this dude like ever. Like, but it was like okay. Yeah. And then he went back to talking about like powders and like protein powders. Yeah. Sorry.
The usual, and then we went back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Yeah. Just lifting weights and doing coke.
Yeah. I mean, it is LA. It's not impossible.
I mean, the 80s and 90s are making a resurgence in all kinds of ways.
Yes.
I have a weird one for this,
Ooh.
which is TV tropes, tvtropes.com.
Yeah.
If you know kind of like your thematic structure of your game, and if you just start like going down a rabbit hole on TV tropes, you will come up with so many amazing things to like pull from all different characters all through. Because it's the nice thing about TV tropes, it's not just TV, it's not just movies, but it's books and series and all kinds of other things, comics. So you get like a really amazing playground to just pick and choose different things that you want. And I find that it's a really cool resource to like rejuvenate your own creative batteries to just like soak in all of this stuff. You don't have to use, generally you probably don't want to use things like just lifted whole cloth from other properties, but being able to like look at the different ways in which character traits are used and how plot elements fit together and all of that, like, is just so interesting. It's fascinating to me to see how like the same trope plays across different ways and then subversions of that trope and then character elements and how different iconic characters have like a mix of certain characteristics, but then each of those characteristics can go across such a wide variety of characters as well. Like it's the mix and match and the like choose your own adventure of which rabbit hole do you want to go down today. But so I just find that really, really interesting, and it's a nice way to like not have to think a ton about like coming up with something from scratch all on your own. And you have a frame of reference for it already because these media properties that I'm assuming you've actually like consumed is how you started down the rabbit hole.
I'm a big proponent of as a GM, it is your sworn duty to steal ideas.
Mhm.
And especially if you're burned out, go watch some 22-minute episode or like just put a show on in the background and like tune in every so often to kind of see how they structure their story. I call it the Columbo method, because if you're running a D&D campaign and you need to come up with a mystery, but you can't think of like what it should be, watch any given episode of Columbo and just
Yeah.
steal it.
Mhm.
Um, because so long as you're not like, don't steal for your D&D campaign from Lord of the Rings. Everybody knows Lord of the Rings. It's why I always give Aragon crap, because Aragon is just Star Wars. Everyone knows Star Wars. If you're going to steal, steal from obscure shit. Like it, if your entire play group has all watched every single episode of Columbo 6 times, don't steal from Columbo.
Yeah.
But go through, especially looking at like plot twists and revelations and stuff like that, and those kinds of things, you can just lift those things. Watching kids television is a great option for that.
Yeah.
Especially
Or
if you have
teen
kids.
dramas. Teen
Ooh,
dramas know how to
yes.
do a revelation and a plot twist like nobody else. And also in a
If you want
way
to
that
run,
like is very conducive to like you not having to pay 100% attention the 100% of the time.
Mhm.
yeah. If you want to run the weirdest game ever, just steal a plot from Riverdale. Like
Yes. Oh my
that show
gosh.
went off the rails.
So hard. It was wild.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah.
shout out one of my favorite tools, which is fantasynamegenerators.com. It's an
Yes.
old site. Like it's way before the large language models. It's all been compiled over the years by lots of nerdy people. And it's actually not all fantasy. I use it. I used it a ton for our Starscape campaign. And if you go look at like places and locations, it's literally everything from like planets and orphanages and Norse world names and jungle names and then like a brewery names. They have literally almost everything you could ever think
There's
of.
spa names.
Yeah,
in there.
spa names, void names, volcano names, waterfall names, world names.
Vampire
s-
names.
Yeah, and this is just the places and locations tab. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
you click to the real names, fantasy and folklore, other names, pop culture names, and like literally thousands and thousands of lists with thousands of things, clothing, medieval, fantasy. Like there's
I
so
gotta
much
figure out
stuff.
if they have like a Ko-fi or something. I gotta go pay those people.
There's a
They've
thank you
earned it.
page. You can support them. Also, there's like a thing I've never like vetted it, but like supposedly if you use the site, they plant trees for it, which is nice. I like that. So, but it's great, and it's mostly just been there, and it's in a few different languages too, so that's also great.
And one thing I like about the real names is they are categorized out. Like they're by different areas, different cultures.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
it's an interesting way to like diversify your NPC pool
Yeah.
in terms of name and
Yeah.
in
Mhm.
terms of like having a diverse cast of NPCs.
Yeah.
Which I enjoy. Like, they don't all need to have it's not all Tom, Dick, and Harry over
No,
here.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I on that same theme, I really love sitting through the credits in a movie
Mhm.
and just being like, "Oh, that's a cool name. That's a
Yeah.
cool name." And just like whoever, like, "Oh, that gaffer is now going to be a character in my next campaign." Or whoever did sound design on this movie. Congratulations, you're now an NPC.
That's so cool. I didn't realize this because I haven't like looked on this particular page before, but they have name generators for pop culture stuff like Avatar and Bleach, which I like Bleach a lot.
Me too.
And Doctor Who and DC. Oh wait, I have to see the DC Comics name generator. I'm sorry. 1 second. Everyone hold
Ooh.
the podcast. I have to do
It's like
this.
get
Every-
straight to the
hold, please.
Amazons.
Hold, please.
Amazons.
There's an Amazon list specifically. They're good.
Oh, they are.
Larissa.
Okay. Well,
I don't know if
tune
Timidite
in
is
next
a good
time when
one.
we go through every single option in fantasyninja.com.
Amazon,
We'll be doing
Atlantean,
this for the next
Kryptonian.
6 seasons.
You get sucked into it. Like,
I
it's
mean,
such a
this is
fun
the
book.
rabbit hole thing, right? Like, and I love that they give you a little blurb in the fantasy names about how those names are generated, like what the culture does to do its names. In Astral Circus, we have Goliaths, like a fair number of Goliaths. They have a specific naming convention, and that's apparent and explained on the fantasy name generator site, which I think is cool. Like, it's fun to have those little like blurbs about how things get named. So yeah, like that's, and then it's fun to also just look at a list of names and be like, how did someone get named that?
Yeah.
Like, especially if you go to like the pirate names or whatever, and you're just like,
Oh, God.
the backstories just write themselves.
Yeah. They do have I don't know if it's, I don't remember if it's on this site, but I've also seen random generator sites that do not use AI. They're like, they way predate large language models that do like random mixes, like, and it'll come up with better stuff than this. But like Bob, the tavern keeper with the loud horse or whatever it is, like, it's like,
The Mad Libs.
yeah,
of-
it's basically a Mad Libs thing, and I definitely pulled that out before in moments, especially like in towns where it's like, okay, I've got 20 minutes of a session left. I don't want to start something totally new, but let's have some weird person for them to talk to. Boom. It's nice to have that. And then their loud horse or whatever they a lot of them have like that story hook idea.
this person and their sharp-toothed horse.
Yes, the sharp teeth. Horses have very sharp teeth. They are
Yes.
very scary when they bite.
You can tell I've been listening to Queen Demon, because like,
Yeah.
Horses lust for blood. It's true. You heard
Yep.
it here.
mm,
Shall we move on to mailbag number 3? Or are
Oh,
you too
yes,
busy checking
Sorry,
fantasy
I was
name
still
generator?
looking at it.
look.
I
For research
recognize that
Research
look of
purposes
focus.
only.
Yeah. It's not great podcasting for me to sit and look at a website. Sorry.
You gotta narrate. You gotta turn on the radio voice,
Okay,
and then just read whatever you're looking at.
Yeah. All right. Mailbag number 3 from the archive 2020. Howdy, happy jackers. This email was inspired by a recent discussion about how to portray a god as a GM. I had a cleric PC in a recent game. At several points during the campaign, it was narratively appropriate for the cleric to speak directly to their god. The solution I came up with was going to be my standard response in any situation in the future. PC. What should I do? Deity. My child, you wield my power not because you have faith in me, but because I have faith in you. Follow your heart. You will find the way and make me proud.
Good
How-
dad.
yeah,
Good dad.
Good job. How's that for divine intervention? D&D in particular has a mechanic that allows clerics to literally call down their god to tell them exactly what they should do. How awful for a role-playing game. However, whenever something like this comes up, I try to turn the spotlight back on the player character and encourage character development. And I try like hell not to give the party any straightforward answers. This is definitely one of those things that is hard to handle as a GM. It seems to me that the best way to handle it is to bounce back to the players as much as possible and not feed them any answers beyond what you had intended for the scene. Hope this helps. Ben in Texas.
I would be so pissed if you pulled that
I
with
would
me.
be bad too.
I know. It feels like I love this, like, I do love the like loving and supportive relationship father as the deity once.
Mhm.
But like, unless you are willing to just say like, okay, D&D has this move where you can you can commune with your deity specifically to get specific answers. I do not want to engage with it.
Mhm.
But like, it's really frustrating for someone to have that in their toolkit,
Yeah.
and then be stymied in it over and over again. And I feel like there's a lot of ways, like, especially in the D&D pantheons, that these gods are not your, like, Christian god.
Mhm.
They are a pantheon of gods, who have their own personalities, that have their own conflicts, that have their own goals,
Yeah.
that do not always align with either your player, whether or not it is their cleric or paladin, whoever, or other gods. So I don't know. My whole thing is to treat deities like you treat other NPCs.
Mhm.
They have their own agendas and they have their own reasons. They're not there as like a gimme answer button. And also, I can't imagine a single deity that would want to be treated that way.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe they will give some answers. Maybe they'll give some answers for a price. Maybe they're really pissed about getting called down there to talk about, like, this thing that your cleric should have been able to figure out on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are all kinds of ways to approach deities in fantasy environs. And I think a lot of times, like, the most important thing is for them to have their own personality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know the exact text for divine intervention. I was doing like a quick search. I don't know because this is an old email. I don't know how it's been updated to the 2024 version of D&D. But I feel very strongly the same. Like I also believe that it is like bad role-playing practice to like have the answer given to the players. But if it is the mechanics of what they've chosen, it feels even shittier to like steal that from them if they've used it like if they've built it into their character. I would definitely put some guardrails on it. I'm hoping, I'm sure are probably some limits to it. I sort of vaguely remember like there's a very low chance of it actually working for some reason. If I'm thinking of the right thing. Oh,
Okay.
On
so
a
divine
percentile die, you have to
intervention,
roll under your level.
okay.
Beginning on 10th level, you can call your deity to intervene on your behalf when your need is great. Imploring your deity's aid requires you to use your action, describe the assistance you seek, and roll percentile dice. If you roll a number equal to or lower than your cleric level, your deity intervenes. The DM chooses the nature of the intervention. The effect of any cleric spell or cleric domain spell would be appropriate. If your deity intervenes, you can't use this feature again for 7 days.
Okay.
Otherwise, you can use it again after you finish a long rest. So if your god says, no thanks, you can use it again the next day. At 20th level, your call for intervention succeeds automatically, no roll required.
That seems like, I don't know, the fact that you can just
Basically
try
like
again.
a wish spell.
Yeah.
Well,
Like using
is
a
more
wish
powerful.
spell to replicate another spell. Like that. It's that, but for clerics.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, I don't love how that's worded, but like I like that there's
like,
a
I don't
low
know what
chance
that
of
is
success.
now in 2024.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
sorry,
just
the
what
Happy Jacks people have problems with
2014.
D&D.
But that's what 2014 said.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't feel like this is a, like, give me all the answers situation either. The thing that the action suggests is more of a additional spell slot kind of situation rather than a like communion and conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you could treat it like divine inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you call on your deity and you get this sudden flash of insight.
Yeah.
And then it's a single thing.
Yeah.
It's like, here, I've given you what you're gonna get.
Yeah. One of the things I love, specifically, I'm sorry, we read off Amazon names and I'm thinking about comic books, but there are times in the comics where Diana communes with the Greek gods, and specifically like they don't like speak back, but they appear in like their animal forms. Like Athena will appear as an owl or things like that, and I think that could be something that could be used to really great effect. Like I don't know the D&D gods particularly well, but for the Raven Queen for one is one of my favorites. Like if suddenly like you're praying and you're looking for divine intervention, you're like, oh, okay. And then a raven appears and there's like some like the player's gonna know, but maybe there's a question for the character. Like, is this from the goddess? Did this work? and then playing it out that way where there's a little bit of like, okay, and it hops and it caws at you, and then it like sits and looks at you, and you see its eyes are glowing faintly, and then it acts like it wants you to follow it or whatever. Like, there's interesting ways to do divine intervention that can add to the story, add to the ambiance of the game, can cause great character interactions because it's like, wait, why are we following the bird? Like, or whatever. And then it's like, no, it's a goddess. It looks like a bird to me, whatever it is. And then
The
so you
best owl.
yeah, exactly. So
Ah.
the superb owl, and things like that, where you can add to the game, still like honor the way the mechanics of the game, and still make it more than you just being like, hey, go that way, kid. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it looks like from the stuff in the chat, current divine intervention is choose any cleric spell of 5th level or lower that doesn't require a reaction. And you can cast that without expending a spell slot.
Oh, okay. So
And then level 20, you can use Wish.
got it. Okay.
But-
Well,
It's
So
divine.
it's-
Give me $20.
yeah.
And I feel like with the number of ways that people can get additional spell slots and additional all of that stuff, like it doesn't feel, yeah.
Yeah.
Commune is the yes no answer spell
Yeah.
and is 5th level.
I feel like it's easier to
So-
mess with that though. Sorry, go ahead, Rose.
I think anytime you're going to play something that is beyond mortal, you need to make it feel beyond mortal. I personally like to get Old Testament with it, because that's how I was raised. And your fantasy gods should be mysterious and wrathful. So don't have them talk directly to the player. Give them flashes. Just you get an image, and it's confusing or disconcerting. If you get direct help, make it destructive. This is something that is beyond human. This is something that is beyond mortal. This is something that should be terrifying. Like, I was raised very, very Christian, and like the idea, like a thing that always came up is like, oh, people misuse the word awesome. Awesome means inspiring awe, you know? And it's like, yeah, it should be a little bit scary, maybe a lot of bit scary. I in my Masks campaign, Adam's character was secretly the son of Chernobog, who is the Slavic god of darkness. And it wasn't until like the very end of the campaign that they even met Chernobog. Everything like, and that was like a year into the campaign. Everything else was dreams and symbolism, and like he had the ability to like create art using his powers, and every time he would make something there would be one small thing off. There would be a little ink blot or a little something not right. There were always ravens following him. And there was always something slightly off, and he would always dream of the man in the chair. And the man in the chair, there was something where the face should be, but he could never look at it. And it was always this figure in fine black suit with inky black hands wrapped over the armrests. And he would try to look it in the face, and he never could. And that shit was fun as hell. Make your gods scary again.
Yeah.
You know? If you serve the goddamn Raven Queen, sorry Raven Queen, the God's damned Raven Queen,
Yes.
make her fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
She's the
And-
goddess of death.
And let's remember that, like, all of the deities are still infinitely more powerful than your cleric is. And,
Mhm.
like, as much as our party are the chosen ones, they're not that chosen.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's worth it to just lean into the fact that, like, in the specifics of the D&D and spells, like, and allowing commune and allowing, like, yes no answers and things like that being one thing, but like, yeah, your deities have better things to do with their time than just spoon
Constantly
feed
bothered.
answers to your party.
That would be amazing. See, that's how they should write it. Like, I mean, like spell slots or whatever. But that would be so cool if, like, at a certain point, like every time you did it, you had to mark something. I know there's like a condition or something, and at some point, depending on which deity you have too, they just get annoyed at you, and there starts being penalties for like bugging the shit out of them. Like they're just like, I am sorry. Call my answering machine. Why are you calling me right now? I am busy right now. I'm doing things. I don't know. It's just kind of interesting. You get the like leave a message.
Yeah.
Hello,
like-
you've reached the Raven Queen. I'm busy right now and I can't come to your commune spell. Please leave a message, and if I give a shit, I'll get back to you whenever I feel like it.
And it's also like, just specifically because we're talking about commune, you contact your deity or a divine proxy.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be your god.
Oh my god.
Doesn't have to be the actual deity. It's 3 yes or no questions. And, like, they're also not omniscient.
Yeah. Oh man.
Because D&D deities aren't omniscient.
Yeah.
In fact,
And this
most
is
of
a
them
place-
used to be mortal.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
this is a place where I
That
feel
used
like
to be
we need
Steve.
Steve.
like, we really need to, like, remember that deities in fantasy games are not the Christian God.
Yeah.
Like, and to divorce ourselves from these, like, assumptions that we make about what gods need to be in our real lives versus what role deities play in a fantasy role-playing game.
Mhm.
Or a
course.
science fiction role-playing game.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like, that there's more than just, like, slapping it back to your player.
Yeah.
Available to you in your toolkit.
That being said, I do
Absolutely.
love the role play moment of I have faith in you. Like, I love the value of that. I love your
Boo.
take on it.
Look,
but not with an actual move. Like, if there's an actual power or move or spell that's being used, like, I do really love, like, especially depending on the arc, like having meaningful moments where, like, depending on what it is, like the authority figure sometimes shows faith, and sometimes it ends up being like manipulative. Sometimes it ends up being like, and maybe it's a way, like, eventually they learn they can't trust this person or whatever it is. But I do love those meaningful ways of, like, getting the player characters to believe in themselves, because in all things, I am a mom and teacher, and I'm just like, you can do it. Like, even when I'm evil, I believe in you.
And there is that idea that, like, if they're having a crisis of confidence,
Yeah.
like, if your cleric is having, like, had just a day of cleric rolls
Mhm.
and needs, and, like, it extrapolates out to a character moment where they're like, I have a crisis of confidence. I can't choose what I need to do. I don't know what's right anymore.
Mhm.
Everything I've tried to do has blown up in my face. And then you have their deity come in and be like, you have this power because I believe in you.
Yeah.
You don't have to believe in yourself. I believe in you for you.
Yeah.
Is like,
So good, right?
oh, my heart. Oh,
So good.
would that our parents could only,
I know.
like,
I'm also, like, obsessed with what you were saying, though, a few minutes ago about having, like, a messenger come and talk to them. Oh my god, you could have so much fun with that. Like, oh my gods, you could have so much fun with that. like I just, like, going back to the Greek gods for an example that's easy for everyone to grok. Like having, like, Mercury show up and be super annoyed and, like, I am so busy and you had to pray right now. Fine. Well, Zeus says this, and just I don't, and then you ask, I don't know. That wasn't in the message I'm supposed to send. I'm a messenger. Hello. And then like leaving, like I could just, like, so much fun. And like, especially depending on which god you pick, like the annoying, weird messengers that you could send are so great. So good. Oh, so I love all of that. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a big difference in story beat moments that are just part of the narrative versus things that are utilizing mechanics that have been written into the game. And I think your obligation to provide information varies with which end of that gradient you're on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in those cases, like when it's a mechanic, I think it's worth looking at the actual mechanic that they are using and what you are required to give for that, right? Like it's like, oh, okay, yes, you're talking to your god, and like, okay, it's 3 questions.
Yeah.
And you can do the whole like they're going to regret asking the questions, and before you cast this spell, you need to be real clear on what questions you want to ask.
Yes.
Or any kind of number of things. Like, it's like, just decide on the scope that you want to provide. But I think always throwing it back on the player when they're using a mechanic feels bad.
Yeah.
But there's so many things to do in between those two things. Like, in between, I give you all the answers and here's all the plot, and go forth, my child, and prosper.
Yeah. I think it's also like something interesting to play with. Like the same kind of thing they run into with like time travel, where it's like, yes, the answer that you seek is this right now, but as you and the party are doing things and changing the future courses of things, this might also change. So the answer you got 2 sessions ago may not apply anymore, and not as a, like, got you, but I think like posing that up front as the way your world works could be an interesting use of that mechanic, because like, and you shouldn't use it as like a got you way to fool the players, but I think it could keep things interesting as like, oh, okay, well, you did this, which stopped the bad from doing this, and so now their goal is different. They're no longer aiming at the city that you were sent to by the owl, because you've already foiled that plan. Now they're going somewhere else, and I think that can, in some ways, like strengthen the players' like feel and like connection to the world, because they actually are in real time being not in real time, but like in the story, narratively being told how they're affecting the outcomes of the world in a very cool, meaningful way. And it also means that you have a little more wiggle room as a GM if things start going sideways or going weird, or the thing you said is no longer a very interesting plot point. And so you're like, oh, well, the world has changed because of your impact. And yeah,
and it's cool. I think that kind of stuff is cool, where it's like the paths have diverged.
Yeah, I think it's neat.
String theory, something.
Yeah,
It's good to mix in the idea of like, yeah, free will and the will of the gods. Like, yeah, the gods want this, mortals are gonna do their thing, and those things can cause conflicts or convergences or what have you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also, for the record, I'm a fan of any game that you kill gods in. That is so. A god being like, the power was in you all along. I'm like, oh, motherfucker, it's on. We're fighting right now.
Oh, amazing. All right,
Yeah.
are we good? Are we spent?
I think so.
All right, awesome. Thank you for joining us for Season 36, Episode 7 of the Happy Jacks RPG podcast. Please support Cody Gonzaga, our Indie Designer of the Month. You can find them at justice.itch.io or justice on Blue Sky. Thank you to our chat mod, James V, and to all our amazing Patreons who keep us ad-free and independent. We really, really appreciate it. And you can join their amazing ranks at happyjacks.org/Patreon. My name is Kimmy. You can find me at Golden Lasso Games is where my games are. And I am Golden Lasso Girl on Blue Sky and like some other places on the internet, but not a lot. So that's me right now. I'm also here on Tuesday nights for our Road to Nowhere actual play, which is using the Electric State system by Free League. And it is
So good.
it's heartrending. And Cody's in it, and they're amazing. And it's just like fantastic table. It's really good. And we're kind of starting to kind of get near the end, I think. We got like another couple months, I think, and we might be wrapping that one up. We have to see if we survive and make it to Oregon. That'll be the real determination of when it goes. But yeah. All right. Rose.
Hi, I'm Rose. You can find me following you about 30 feet back. I've gotten onto all fours. I've broken into a sprint. You can find me online at Rose RPGs on Blue Sky and on the Happy Jacks Discord, where I am there raising a ruckus. Come play in all of our community games. They are the best. Come play in Game Days, October 25th. I may be running some games on the 24th. But yeah, the community is awesome. Come join us.
One of us.
One of us. Hi, I'm Pooja. I don't use pronouns. You can find me on the internet as Forgotten Saves. If you want to see and hear me play TTRPGs, you can currently find me both on Saturday mornings in the new Pirates of Darkwater, where we are healing the hole left in our heart with the cancellation of that cartoon and having the best time doing it. And then again on Sunday evenings, Pacific time, with the Astral Circus, where I play the astonishing Tiefling Martial Sorcerer Este Para, your friendly neighborhood bimbo. It's so much fun. I love both of these games so much. We are Astral Circus. We are in Avernus. We have to find a still beating heart.
Yeah.
We thank goodness we have Adam. They are amazing, and their character has an intelligence score above 8.
Wow.
Ooh, a whole 10?
Actually, Adam's character, Slate, has like all the actual investigative skills and is very, very smart.
Oh, good.
Thank goodness.
Wait, so Adam's the one who's like keeping the campaign on track?
I wouldn't go that far.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
How
it
many
sounds
abs
unreal.
does Adam's character have, and is it more than 8?
I think last count it was 12, because both Jason and I had a viscerally deep no reaction to an odd number of abs.
Yes, absolutely. Does it equal their
Permanently
intelligence score?
curved over,
Yeah.
tilted.
But yeah, so we're having a great time. I looked into the void. I screamed into the void, I guess, and the void said, "You're right, I am lonely." And now I have a friend.
Amazing. All right. We're going to leave you with a song today. It's called the Skyboat Song. It's a traditional song, but it is also of Outlander fame. It's like the song they use for the intro of the show. But it is actually a traditional song. They changed one word in it. And this one is by the Mary Sues. And our website is currently down. So after Starscape is finished, the website will be back up at marysuesband.com. But there's a priority to things, and that is not at the top at the moment. So yeah, thank you so much, and we will see you next week. Bye.
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 Sing me a song of a lass that is gone. Say, could that lass be I? Mary of soul, she sailed on a day over the sea to sky. Moon was astern, room on the port, egg on the starboard bow. Glorious song glowed in my soul. Where is that glory now? Sing me a song of a lass that is gone. Say, could that lass be I? Mary of soul, she sailed on a day over the sea to sky. Give me again all that was there. Give me the sun that shone. Give me the eyes, give me the soul. Give me the love that's gone. Sing me a song of a lass that is gone. Say, could that lass be I? Mary of soul, she sailed on a day over the sea to sky. Billow and breeze, islands and seas, mountains of rain and sun. All that was good, all that was fair, all that was me is gone. Sing me a song of a lass that is gone. Say, could that lass be I? Mary of soul, she sailed on